You know, Alexer, there are three big stages of every business. The first stage is 0 to 1. The second stage is going from 1 to 10, and finally going from 10 to 100. In this session, we're going through each of these stages, and you'll learn exactly what each of them implies and what you need to implement in order to grow. So let's start off with the first one, shall we? 0 to 1. This is the very beginning. You're at 0 here. There is no business, there's just the idea for the business. Maybe you have the product in mind, the name, the logo, or you don't even have any of that figured out at all. You're at 0, remember? Most people stay at 0 their entire lives because they delay it until the time is right, until they're not as busy, until I have my website set up, or whatever plethora of excuses you usually find. At this stage, everyone tells you you'll fail. You don't believe in yourself because you think you need the entire package just to take the first step. You feel like you're missing some of the key tools or ingredients. So what does getting from 0 to 1 entail? Well, the most common way to know you got to 1 is by getting your first cold sale, meaning someone who isn't your mother, brother, sister, or friend somehow found out about you and paid you actual money for the product or service you have. At this stage, everything about your business is shitty, but that's okay. It's supposed to be like that right now. If you're not embarrassed about the first version of your product, you, my friend, have waited too long to launch. Use whatever tools you have at your disposal to get that first sale. Record on your phone. Use anything online that's free to get you started. Set up a free Instagram page, TikTok account, Pinterest account, anything you could possibly think of. Use editing software with the watermark on if you have to, just to get it out there. You may or may not have a website. Your product is wonky, you have no idea how to do marketing, and the business is just you in your bedroom. Put it out there, get that first sale. Getting to 1 is a phenomenal spot to be at. It's millions of miles ahead of 0. Everyone at 0 wishes they were at 1 because getting from 0 to 1 is going to be the hardest step of all. It doesn't need to be perfect. Actually, we encourage you to launch it even when it's bad. Launch it ugly, okay? Just get it out in the world. You don't need accountants, lawyers, or even an actual business. All you need is a way for people to pay you. That's it. The only 3 ingredients needed to get from 0 to 1 are 1. A product or service to sell. 2. A bank account where you receive the money. And 3, a way for people to pay you, a payment processor like Stripe, PayPal, etc. This is your to-do list. These are the only 3 requirements for you to start. That's it. You know, a lot of the time, people never start because they think they need to have the trademark on the name, the logo, and this and that to have a business registered, to have invoicing software, accountants. Well, no, not really. That's not how any of the businesses get there in the early stages. Customers, you need to sell. If people are willing to pay you for your product or service, you will use that money you get from them to get yourself everything else. But you need a way to get the money first. So the barrier to go from 0 to 1 is fairly low, yet 98% of people fail because they try to do all the other stuff without figuring out the product and how you'll get the money from the customer. The moment the money from your first transaction hits your bank account, you're officially in business. It doesn't matter if it was perfect, you got paid, okay? And if you got paid once, you can get paid twice. So do it. Make sure it wasn't luck the first time. People look at large-scale companies and they imagine they need everything they have just to get started, but that's not how business works. You do a lot of work on your own with the tools you have and use the money from the business to get everything else. Don't worry about branding right now, you'll buy better branding later. Get a friend to help with your accounting until you can afford to pay them. It costs around $100 to incorporate a business in the US and around €100 to incorporate in Europe. You're smart enough to Google incorporate a company online or ask your friends offline for a recommendation of a lawyer. The things that you worry about the most are actually pretty cheap or pretty easy to overcome. We know they feel daunting, but trust the process, okay? Here's the most valuable lesson you'll ever learn in business. Sales solves everything. If you have customers that are buying your products and are making a profit on every sale, you're gonna be all right. Okay, so you've got your thing going and you're ready to go into the second stage of business development. You don't need anybody else to get from 0 to 1. You can make that jump all on your own. It's faster if you can call up on your friends or have a little money to pay for things, but you can most certainly get to 1 all on your own. But going from 1 to 10, well, that's a different story. This is what's going to happen and what you're going to do. You're making profit with every sale. At this stage, you'll be inclined to take that profit as a reward for all the effort you've put into it, but you're not going to do that, not yet. Instead, you'll use that money to get yourself a little helper. This is your first contractor. They do a specific thing that it takes you a lot of time to do. In the meantime, you keep going at 100% effort, but since you got a little helper, you're able to see some extra money coming in. Initially, you're paying this person out of the profit your hard work generates, but it's always best to track just how much value they're bringing in for you. At this stage, they shouldn't know how the finances of the business work because it would add a variety of problems. Early on, you won't pay yourself anything or just the bare minimum, and you'll work harder and longer than any of your employees. This is why you'll be successful, because you're building a business, not trying to cash in quickly. As their role matures, you should pay this person around half of the value they can generate for you. This is how your business will grow. Since they're creating double the value than what they are paid, you can afford to hire another one just like them. Train them until they also create twice the value they're paid. You'll keep on doing this until you hit a demand ceiling, meaning you've got a cap on the number of customers you can bring in every month. For a stage 2 business to run well, every employee or contractor should be profitable. They need to make you more than you pay them. As a stage 2 entrepreneur, you've got your hands on everything, and it should be like that. You should make sure the website is as you want it to be. You should be the one talking to the customer, to the supplier, to the programmer, to everyone. You should make sure the quality of the product is consistent. You should be the one in the TikTok videos. You are in production, sales, marketing, customer support, accounting, everything, even if that is not your thing. It's crucial to do this because you learn to speak the language. You've got your feet on the ground. You know what to ask, and since you're the main decision maker, you're the one able to implement those decisions immediately. The people you have around you are there to do mostly repetitive tasks. Some people will come and go, some will stay. We'll talk more about how to hire and fire fast in another session, but the more people you get to interact with, the better you'll understand who will make a good employee for your business and who won't. In time, one of the people you've hired a while back will show potential and ask for a little bit more responsibility. Keep your eyes open for this individual because they're really important to taking the business from 1 to 10. Since you've got a hand in everything, there are certain parts of the business that are incredibly time-consuming and that you don't necessarily like doing. Your time would be better spent either on sales, because sales solves everything, or on making the system that will make the business better. The key person who rises out of the ranks is called a generalist. For the first time in your business, you've got a middle manager between you and everyone else. They're like a mini version of you without access to the financial underlying of the business. They usually add a lot of value, and you can afford to pay them a little bit more than everyone else while adding more onto their plate. The most important characteristic here is loyalty. If you screw up and you can't trust this person, everything will burn down in flames. You can train and develop someone who isn't necessarily as smart, but you can never train someone into being loyal. Have them keep an eye on the new people. Since they're your top performer, have them train the new folks and show them the ropes. Your job is to build the car, set the destination, put the car in motion, and make sure there is enough fuel in the tank to get there. Their job is to keep that car on the road. You can't get to 10 if you don't have a generalist. As you go from 1 to 10, you'll start adding more and more people, every one of them taking care of a handful of very specific tasks. Their skills are exponentially more valuable when put together than alone. Very much like an orchestra is superior to a single cello player, and you, my friend, are the one conducting this orchestra. You will know you've gotten to 10 when you could subtract yourself from the business for at least 1 month and the business still maintains its course. Every business should get to 10. If you don't, the business ends up being too reliant on you. If you're sick, if you got hit by a car, or you want to go on holiday, everything comes to a standstill. You can't get to 10 without training a generalist or more from within, so keep an eye out for them from the start. As you approach 10, every employee should be paid at most 33% of the value they're bringing into the business. This is called the 1-to-3 ratio. Basically, they need to pay for themselves. They need to pay for other miscellaneous costs associated with keeping the business running. For example, the cleaning staff doesn't make sales, but you need the place to be clean. The person who takes care of the plants or all the office supplies, and the last third is there to aid the growth of the business or act as a safety net. One of the biggest mistakes businesses make is living paycheck to paycheck, meaning they only have enough money coming in to pay for their employees for the next 1 to 2 months. So when an unforeseen event hits, well, they're forced to fire people or leave them unpaid. The 33% rule assures this doesn't happen. Alright, so that's 1 to 10. Now going from 10 to 100 is something a very, very small percentage of businesses are able to do because it means breaking almost everything you've built so far and rebuilding it professionally. What gets you to 10 will not get you to 100. Going from 10 to 100 implies you build clear, repeatable systems and frameworks for all aspects of the business. Meaning anyone could come in, look at the clear playbook, and they would be able to keep the place running. Everyone understands the vision and how they directly contribute to it. You have an HR system that makes sure when an employee leaves, another one fills their spot. Once they're in the company, they're being trained. Goals are defined, and there are people who regularly do performance reviews to make sure every employee hits their quota. You're not involved in the day-to-day activities of the business. At this stage, you only make a couple of strategic decisions per year that are supposed to accelerate the accomplishment of the goal. The business is now multi-layered. There are departments with heads of departments and higher management responsible for the people under them who report directly to you. The generalist has either leveled up and is now a partner in the business or has been fired and replaced with professional management. The people who work for you have more experience in the industry, but you still understand both the customer and the business better than they do. At this stage, you're an evangelist for your business. All your efforts are focused on the vision, establishing the business as a category leader or making strategic partnerships. The business is so streamlined that you're able to literally duplicate everything and open offices around the world, and the model will still hold. 0 to 1 is about self-employment. You can usually get $500,000 to $1 million per year on your own if you can leverage technology, but at some point you will plateau. You either work by yourself or have 2 to 3 people helping you out. 1 to 10 is about building a small business. You generate between $500,000 and $5 million per year. It's fairly hard to get to $10 million a year at this stage. And between 10 and 30 people contribute to the business. 10 to 100 is about building a corporation. This is 10 to 100 million per year or more in business. We wish there was a way for you to get there with a handful of employees, but there isn't. Usually there are between 50 to 500 people working on the business at this stage, and that number keeps climbing as you scale and leverage human capital for even more growth. You need other people's time and expertise to grow. And you can apply these 3 stages of growth to employees as well. Getting a job is going from 0 to 1. You've got time plus 1 skill and you trade both for money. 1 to 10 is becoming a project manager or climbing the ladder to a management position. You add sales and people management to your set of skills. 10 to 100 means becoming indispensable for the organization and moving as a product owner. At 100, you've gotten to a point where you leaving would be extremely damaging to the business. 100 usually means that you've made partner in the company. Now, as an action point for today, we want you to figure out what bracket you fall into and what's missing from your organization or your life to get to the next stage. We strongly recommend you favorite this lesson in the top corner of the screen and come back to it every once in a while, because every time you listen to it, one of your problems will be addressed. You are on a journey, Aluxer, so keep on going. We'll see you back here tomorrow, my friend.